guys, welcome back to another video of Always Something in the Garage. So today we're going to be working on the Bronco and we're going to be adding a soft top to it. So hope you guys like the video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. So as you can see, we have the soft top right here by Rampage products. It's for our '84 Bronco. So I opened it up, look at the instructions for everything. It's pretty well detailed, but we'll get into the build here and we'll see if we need to change anything or modify anything with the top.
So the first thing I found out on this install was a lot of people complained about how the side rails stuck up from the edge. Didn't understand it until I started getting into it. And one of the things I did notice is they give you these new aluminum panel nuts, or whatever you want to call them, inserts that go into your square, into your hole. Well, the factory are smaller. I think they're like a 6mm or something. So this hole right here is small, so that, as you can see, that little spring in there, that's the retainer. And what it does is when you slide it in, it latches onto that hole. Well, the bigger panel nuts, or spring nuts, whatever you want to call them, you see the hook there. Well, it's a lot bigger diameter. So when you would slide it on, this hole right here was too small, and it raised up because that little hook right there at the top would not fall in the hole like it's supposed to and be the retainer. So basically it raised the thickness of those two metals, this top piece where my finger's at, and of course the spring there, so that raised the whole thing up. So what I did is drilled this hole out bigger, so that little spring tab that you see underneath where my finger is falls in the hole like it's supposed to and retain this clip. And what it does is it makes the clip flush like this. So now you're flush. So guys, just check that out. Drill out those holes. Your factory clips, if you use those, that's fine. They even say it in the directions that you could use your factory clips and bolts, but I didn't have all my factory clips in this, so I had to use theirs, so I made it work. Second thing I found is this bolt right here. There's a factory insert in the top of the bed rail. Well, they send you 8mm bolts for that, and they point it out in the directions, but they are 6mm. So luckily I had some laying around the shop. Not a big deal, but just remember, you may need extra fasteners. I know people online have been talking about that, but make sure you pick up, this is an '84 Bronco, so I don't know if one of the older ones, or probably a newer model, maybe they changed it and they have a bigger bolt there. But anyway, that's the first two things. We'll see what else we find. There was one other thing that I modified. It was more to the truck. So right in this area underneath here, in this bedside, there was a nut insert. So it's a threaded insert into the body. And again, it's been so long since I ran a hardtop. I mean, we're talking 20 years almost, because we never ran it with the top. But I believe that nutsert, if I can remember, and somebody can comment on that, was for a pin. I think it's a locating pin, and they have them on each side. I think it's just a tapered pin that would get screwed down into this body. So when you put the top on, it actually locates the top. I remember taking them out immediately, because when I would remove the top, and my wife would help me, we would slide the top off the back, literally slide it along the rail here She's on one side, I'm on the other, and we would drop it down to the ground. So I got rid of those pins. So anyway, I believe that also has the issue with making the gap, and that could have been why they gave you the thicker plastic spacer that we talked about. I'm not using those pins anymore. I don't think they're necessary because, again, I ran the hardtop for a few years on and off when I had to put it on because of weather, or even setting the truck outside. I took those pins out. So what I did is I ground down and basically cut out the nutsert in this sheet metal because it protrudes up. It's probably a 1/4 inch up out of the sheet metal. Cut it out, hammer dollied it so the side rail now is flat. Now this allows this to sit flush. So those few things, I see what the manufacturer was thinking. They gave you a spacer at the end, but that spacer gave you a nasty looking gap, and the reason was there was a nutsert. But honestly, even you guys that have completed trucks and you want to put your hard top back on it someday, I'd say get rid of that nutsert, or at least bang it down. You can actually knock it down past flush. Still, the threads would be in there, but you could hammer dolly it down. So then this black, soft top rail will fit flush. So check that out. There's a lot of comments. A lot of guys are saying, I got these hideous gaps. Now I'm starting to see why and what the engineers were thinking. But I think these couple little mods, you guys will be really happy. It's a really clean job now. But yeah, check it out. Here's another thing I didn't like about this kit. I get it, they're trying to make it so that you can remove the tailgate support here. They have this wing nut, and they just put this jam nut, they call it, out in the directions. Kind of looks a little hokey. I see what they're trying to do there. But as I spoke about earlier, is probably 99% of the time we're going to run without a soft top. We run this truck without a top. The top is there if we're at somewheres where a storm is going to come up, we can throw the top on. If we're at a show or something. But I'm going to run it. They tell you not to really run without with this on, so you end up just taking this off. Well, what ends up happening is that stud is left. So this will be removed, and then you have the stud just hanging out there. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up taking and turning this into a bolted connection. So this black side rail piece, I'm going to put a nutsert in the bottom there, so then I can run a bolt down through this. So when I remove it, you won't have this stud sticking out. It just looks hideous, and obviously it could get caught on something, somebody getting in and out or whatever. It just I understand why if most people are keeping the top on, but really I'm going to run it 99% without a top, so I want that to look smooth and clean. One of the other things I read about online in the few forums and people that installed this is the gap. And I showed you earlier how I got this gap to seat a little better. As you can see, it looks really clean. I'm still thinking of upgrading this. I think it's like a neoprene seal. Looks like it's 1/8 inch. It's still got a little bit of air gap there. You can't hardly tell. I don't even think you can see it in the video. Try to zoom in there. Yep, there you go. I'm going to get something a little thicker and just make that look a little better when these side rails are on. But they give you these spacers. It's hard to see. There's a plastic spacer that goes in, and it's on, it's on this bolt right here. So that bolt drives down. It's a screw, actually, a sheet metal screw. I think it's a number 10, maybe a 12. Runs down and into the sheet metal. Well, the spacer is there because of the step in the side of the bed. Well, The spacer's plastic, and it's too big. It's too thick. So what happens is you end up having a huge gap here. I mean, as you can see, there's the gap. Well, times that by 3. So I took and put it on a belt sander, sanded it down, and got it to fit as good as this. Now, again, we talked about some of the earlier things that I did. I put these screws in here to help keep the twisting, which now you can see the rail is pretty perpendicular. Without these screws, these additional screws that I put in down here, and I only put 3 of them along the side, the main bolts twist, and you would see this whole side rail twist up. Looks terrible. It still works. The top works. Everything works, but it just doesn't look good. But this is nice and straight. I like that look. So keep that in mind. Those couple tips. You can sand that plastic down. You can put the additional screws down here to keep it from twisting. So we got the bed side rails in, and even the back tailgate is just temporarily on the back. As we saw earlier, we had some issues with this side, and I've heard a lot of complaints about this rail twisting as you tighten the main bolts. So what I ended up doing is I ended up putting 3 self-tapping screws on the outside edge to keep this rail from twisting up. So it actually worked out pretty good. Also, the screws that come with the kit, as I've heard many times on different forums, they do suck. I broke 2 of them with a pre-drilled hole. So I'm switching them all out. I'm going to go with stainless screws. But yep, we're going to start now on this top, around the top there, and once we get that situated, we'll be ready to put a top on. Without the side curtains or windows. Couple things also I want to note when you guys go to install this. You have the directions tell you. The directions actually aren't too bad, but you have adjustability here. They tell you to put it in the center. That probably would be okay, but being so cold, definitely did not give me the fit, so I've dropped it back to the bottom adjusting hole. It seemed to be a little easier to get the windows in, but again, it's cold out, and I think once you get into a summer heat where I can get the top stretched out, I think it'll be better. Also, you can see here, this is a nice fit. This is the way it should look, nice and smooth. You can see right here there's a hole. So they talk about the dimensions that are critical. There's a dimension here, needs to be a 1/4 inch off of the edge of the body to the black, actually anchor piece, and then it needs to be flush up here. So the directions explain that. I did find out. That's why that hole's there. It is critical, obviously. They set it for a reason. But this side definitely looks smooth. So I ended up setting that first one. Thought I had a 1/4 inch. Maybe the drill walked. And when I put it on, this stuck out. And this actually had a big gap in it. I'll show you that on the other side because I have not fixed the other side yet. So here's the passenger side. You see it looks pretty good at that angle, but this is what I don't like. Got this hole up through here. It actually goes all the way through. And what's doing it is this right here, again, needs to be a quarter. It talks about a 1/4 inch off the body to the black cab trim. Mine is a little less, so that sucked. At least I'm in primer and not really worried about the paint job. So just be careful if you're putting this on a completed vehicle. Get those critical, use 2 people, and go with the dimensions that they have. The top worked out pretty good, but yeah, this bottom got a little away from me, so I'm going to end up redoing that one, pull a screw out, relocate it in. At least I can, fill the holes that I made, and you won't even know it. But yeah, if you do it to your painted truck, you either will be stuck with this and hate it, or you'll put another hole in there. But yeah, you can definitely see it's sticking out right here, so it should be flush. So just go by the dimensions. They're there for a reason, obviously, and it'll work out fine.
Well, got the top on, the canvas on top. It's a little cool out today, so trying to set it outside and get the sun on it. The canvas is really, really tight. Actually stretched it on there pretty good. Still has some wrinkles in some of the corners, but they say you shouldn't put this canvas on unless it's 70 or above. I see why. It's only 50 something out right now, but sun's warm. But it fits. Obviously, it's got some issues I don't like, but I think it's going to work for us. So I needed to do that trial fit before I continued on with the body work. I'm going to fill some of the old fiberglass cap mounts and things. But yeah, I think it's going to work for us. This is what we've always wanted. So stay tuned.
Well, guys, that'll be the end of this video with the top. So I hope you guys liked it. As you can see, we have the Bronco already tucked back in, and we took the top off and all the rails off as well. So the biggest takeaway for this video and the Rampage top is to really look at the instructions and really make sure your dimensions on the top cab part is very spot on. That was the 2 things that we really took away from this build. So hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you go down and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.